life and career accomplishments of Georgette Twain, the Queen of the Banjo, are an illustration of the type of dedication and personal determination which is rarely encountered and most inspiring. Her story is one of sadness, courage, and ultimately triumph. There is an old show business phrase, born in a trunk, which refers to children of parents who worked in the theater and through their influence ultimately became performers themselves. While perhaps not born in a trunk, Georgette was certainly raised in one. Her parents, George Calignan and Cecilia Wallace, both professionals in the theater, met while performing in Song of India in 1922. Surrounded by singers, dancers, musicians, and an occasional barking seal, a young Georgette dreamed that someday she would be part of the theater as well. The ambition of both her and her parents was that Georgette be groomed as an operatic singer. As the years passed, her teachers saw the promise of a fine artist becoming a reality. A literal dream came true when in 1951 she was called to audition for the San Francisco Opera. However, as she prepared for the audition, Georgette noticed that something was terribly wrong. When she tried to sing, nothing came out. Georgette had contracted polio. Her left side paralyzed, at the age of 26, Georgette was an invalid and, in her words, hated the world. The road to basic recovery saw her endure literal years of physical therapy to regain the ability to walk and speak, but her dreams of a singing career were gone forever. Yet even with all that had gone against her, Georgette still wanted to pursue a show business career. Her first encounter with the banjo came out of that desire. Georgette's father had an old Vega banjo and agreed to help her learn to play it. The banjo was not only a hope of continuing in show business, but good physical therapy as well. Under the tutelage of banjo instructor Billy Marquette, it was decided that after only 8 months of lessons, Georgette was ready to perform in public. While singing in public had never bothered her, the thought of playing the banjo in front of people completely terrified her. A trooper from the start, she overcame her fear, and as a result of that first performance, was asked to join Jess Walters in his Bay Area All-Stars. With each performance, her stage fright diminished as she grew in both musical ability as well as entertainment skills. A milestone moment in those early years came when Georgette chanced to meet well-known West Coast banjoist Clay Landrum. When Landrum played the entire sextet from the opera Lucia on the banjo, Georgette realized that it was possible to elevate the lowly instrument to the highest operatic standards. From that moment forward, she began to emulate the consummate musicianship she witnessed in Clay Landrum within her own playing. Another source of inspiration for the young banjoist came from the recordings of the great Eddie Peabody. Following her first exposure to the Peabody magic via old 78 records, Georgette sought out every Eddie Peabody recording she could find. During her search, she became acquainted with and began taking lessons from Gil Snyder, a master banjoist, teacher, and friend of Eddie Peabody. Little did she know this chance meeting would lead her to her next teacher, Eddie Peabody himself. Eddie Peabody was a master banjoist and entertainer who, it seems, almost single-handedly developed the chord melody style of playing the plectrum banjo. While Peabody was very protective of his trademark style, he accepted emulation by others as a great compliment and was often willing to help aspiring banjoists who possessed the basic talent to benefit from his guidance. Having heard about Georgette, Peabody knew she fit into the category of someone he would like to help, and in 1959 began teaching her in a series of lessons he would often refer to as the Peabody Project. During the 6 years that followed, Georgette would meet Eddie Peabody whenever circumstances would allow. As she progressed, Peabody became a mentor as well as good friend to Georgette and her husband, Dr. Sam Twain. He coached her on showmanship and banjo playing techniques, arranged for her to get orchestrations, and when she was ready, used as many showbiz connections to get her bookings as well. All of these connections, coupled with an extraordinary amount of hard work and persistence, began to pay off for Georgette in the 1960s as she developed into a polished cabaret performer. Making hundreds of stage appearances in nightclubs, hotels, and military bases brought Georgette to the attention of Variety magazine, which dubbed her the world's greatest woman banjo player in 1962. She recorded her first LP entitled Let My Banjo Sing and was a featured soloist on a national CBS television special as well. During this pinnacle period in her career, Georgette could be seen sharing the stage with show business legends such as Phyllis Diller, Red Skelton, Carol Channing, Danny Thomas, Frankie Lane, and many others. As a member of the San Francisco Press Club, Georgette got to know Lawrence Welk, and through that association was able to repay her mentor Eddie Peabody by arranging several memorable appearances for Eddie on Welk's popular television program. In 1965, Georgette also made a great memory for herself, this time appearing in England for the top British banjo players in a concert at the St. George's Club. The all-male audience treated her like royalty and responded most enthusiastically to her banjo artistry. As the entertainment business began to change in the 1970s, Georgette, as she always has, adapted to the situation, taking to sea for 5 years as a headline performer aboard luxury cruise ships. Since then, she has continued to entertain as a soloist, performed with various bands, and often teamed up with her daughter, violinist Cecilia Yale. In addition to performing, Georgette is both a respected banjo instructor as well as a professional puppeteer. The summary of Georgette Twain's philosophy of her life and career are best described in her own words. You can't feel sorry for yourself. You've got to fight your own problems. Show business brought me out of my shell. Without working, striving, and hoping, I would have been dead long ago. Think how lucky I am to be alive.